Acclaimed author Gurcharan joins us for a conversation. Thank you, Mr. Das, for speaking to NDTV. My first question to you, sir, what should be the top priorities of the government, considering that this time the BJP does not have majority of its own, it depends on its allies for that magic number of 272?
Well, the top priority for this government has to be jobs. You know, during the election results show that there were local issues in each state. But there was one issue that was sort of an undercurrent everywhere, and that was an anxiety about employment. Not just rural farmers' kids who are underemployed on the farm, but also college graduates in cities showed this. And so creating an atmosphere for jobs has to be the top priority. And I think the best thing in this case is that the coalition, senior coalition partner of Mr. Modi is Chandrababu Naidu, because he is our only politician in India today I would call an instinctive reformer. And I feel that he will use, I hope so, but he could well use his experience, moral influence to keep NDA on track, because this will require a single-minded pursuit on many fronts, and it will not be easy. You know, since 1991, India has grown handsomely, almost 6% a year for 30 years, lifting over 400 million people out of poverty and expanding the middle class from 10% to 30%. Now, this is a remarkable achievement. But this high growth has not created the jobs that we wanted to create, because the model, our model was wrong. And all the countries, all the successful nations of East Asia, and the latest is China, they all followed one single strategy, which was to export labor-intensive manufacturers. And today, India's share of the export of labor-intensive, or of any manufacturing goods, is less than 2%. You know? And so if we could take that 2% to 3% or 4%, we would create an industrial revolution. Industrial revolution is what creates a middle class. You can't take kids from the farms to IT positions. So you have to go through the factory stage. And this is where India has failed. So now Mr. Modi recognizes that, because he tried through 3 laws, the first 2 being land acquisition, the second being the labor reforms, the labor law reforms. Both failed because he could not get enough support, but also it was his fault. He did not sell the reforms.
Okay.
You know,
right.
Margaret Thatcher used to say, I spent 20% of my time reforming and 80% selling the reforms.
Okay, yes.
So I feel that, I mean, this is a lesson that Mr. Modi has to learn, to work consensually, to bring in his allies with him. Of course, both Nitish Kumar and Chandrababu Naidu will not be any
right.
problem, but also reach out to the opposition. He has to sell them. You know, none of our reformers have sold the reforms to the people.
Mr. Das, you've often talked about how the Modi government is best equipped to handle and announce reforms. How skilled or how well equipped do you think this government is, considering that it's an alliance government, particularly to bring in reforms related to, say, jobs or, for that matter, manufacturing?
Well, you know, the best thing is that Mr. Modi has been talking about Viksit Bharat 2047. And I think everybody recognizes that if you want to lay the foundations of Viksit Bharat over the next 5 years, you have to create jobs. It's no point. I mean, Modi in the election speeches, BJP talked about being the fastest growing economy in the world, but they did not connect fast growth to jobs. So now I think it is part of the agenda. If he wants to leave a legacy for 2047, he will pursue it. And I think the coalition here is a positive coalition. And besides, frankly, 90% of the seats are BJP, in this coalition. So the coalition is that of a giant who needs a couple of, people with him. And as I said, that he doesn't have to sell reforms to Chandrababu Naidu. Chandrababu Naidu will be selling it to him, I hope. And so, also the preconditions for takeoff of this jobs, industrial revolution are better than ever today because of much better infrastructure. The road mileage is doubled since 2011. The port handling capacity has quadrupled. Logistics are much better because we are one country after GST, one market. So that old image of trucks waiting at octroi nakas, that's a thing of the past. So and the digital revolution has reduced friction and corruption in the system. So luckily also Mr. Modi's strong suit is implementation. He gets things done. And so let us hope that he will get this done. The key thing, more than a coalition, I think the key thing is that he has to he has to sell the reforms, win over the opposition. I mean, last time, he got scared by Rahul Gandhi's idiotic comment, which was, "Soot boot ki sarkar." Now, opposition will make irresponsible comments. But if you really win them over and you tell people that this is what the laws are, that we have to, some of the cross-subsidy in electricity, this is wrong, that our electricity prices have to become competitive to the world, and all these things which will be required.
Also, Mr. Das, there is this dilemma that political parties, specifically at the helm, face, this balance between welfare, development, and also identity politics. BJP, or for that matter, opposition now, are also, they harp a lot on identity politics. And of course, there is welfare that has become mandatory for all political parties now. And then there is growth and development. How do you see the present NDA alliance, NDA allies in some ways navigate these challenges?
Right. Well, caste politics is identity politics. And this government plays religious identity politics. So, frankly, both are not right. I mean, both caste politics and religious identity politics, they're both identity politics. The politics should be that of development. But, the reality, though, is that people, identities matter. So as long as they don't come in the way of development, reservations now is part of the scene, and you just have to contain the expansion because you need people, the best people for the best job. And what the government gets hurt sometimes because it doesn't often get the best people for the best job. But the government's pool of people is very vast. And if they have good people they select on the basis of attitude, the right attitudes matter when to deliver results more than even skills. And so I would say that, yeah, we can live with it. We can live with it. It's not the best course, but we can live with it. BJP is not going to give up Hindutva like that, even though now we have realized that there's a limitation to Hindutva also, that people have voted for jobs. They have not voted for Hindutva. People's daily lives matter far more to them. If they have a working child, if they have a working father, that's a much more important thing to people than the ideology of Hindutva.